Today's episode of the Totally Rad Show is brought to you by Audible. Coming up, Netflix is producing original programming now with Sopranos star Steven Van Sant in Lilyhammer.
So we're back in TV, and we're talking about an original series, the first from Netflix.
Such a great thing that they're doing that.
It is, and Netflix, I think, and as well as a lot of different companies that sort of are distributing television, even though they're theoretically really distributing the DVD of television, they're kind of going the line of the HBOs and the Showtimes and the Cinemaxes, where they used to just repurpose entertainment that they did not create, which was HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, all of those cable movie channels, and then they started getting into their own original series. That's sort of what Netflix is trying to see if it can be successful, and they're starting with Lilyhammer. It's, I believe, a Norwegian show that was co-written and executive produced by Steven Van Sant from The Sopranos, or the E Street Band, which stars Steven Van Sant as a mafia informant, a mafia underboss turned informant who is then relocated to Lilyhammer by choice.
It's literally his character from The Sopranos.
It is. It is
taking a different direction.
Exactly. So here he is, fresh off the plane in Lilyhammer, and now having to be immersed into the Norwegian culture, with also trying to not be a mafia underboss anymore. Daniel, what did you think of Lilyhammer?
I want to say as a sidebar, as you were describing it in this way, Netflix in this way, I feel like people have such short attention spans. Like, I feel like everyone's so stoked on Netflix. Seeing this is such a positive thing. Whereas like with MTV, people complain like, why isn't it playing movies and when does it play
Apples and
video
oranges,
games anymore?
dude.
But it's like that's how things start out a certain way and then they evolve into something else. And
But it is apples and oranges, but they're also
Fox started
still
out as whatever it was, and then became, you know,
well, but
Fox
HBO is
Television
still 90% of the content on HBO. It's still movies, retreaded movies.
I don't know about 90%.
And it's not like
75?
I don't know.
Netflix doesn't have
definitely
a
majority.
finite amount of hours in the day to fill.
Yeah.
Netflix has a.
No, but
either way,
I'm not talking
good
about
point.
that. I'm just saying.
Let me ask you a
Interesting
question.
point.
I don't know the answer to this. Do you guys know? Did they release the entire series at once?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the awesome thing.
And that's
Because that's
the
how
awesome-
but that's how Netflix distributes television.
Exactly,
Yeah.
it's brilliant, and it's the
future.
very similar
It is the
to
future,
the releasing a graphic novel or the trade instead of the monthlies.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of debate in the comic book community
just
as
doing
to
that
just
first?
get rid of the monthlies. It doesn't matter, and just release complete stories. It's a really interesting parallel. I think.
Yeah.
So what did you
Agreed.
think of the actual series?
Yeah,
because it's definitely television quality. This isn't a web show. This is a TV series that was just produced by Netflix.
Yeah.
Because there's some places like Hulu are doing some original things, but those are web shows. This is like a
for sure,
TV show.
For sure. And they're going to do the House of Cards, which is a Kevin Spacey. That's the next thing.
Yeah.
So even though this doesn't have it as a notable figure behind it, that will.
Well, Steve Van Sant.
Sure.
Sopranos series.
Yeah, I didn't.
But go ahead,
I didn't
what
watch
did you think?
I didn't watch Sopranos.
You've never watched The Sopranos?
I've watched it, but I never watched the entire series. You know,
damn.
I watched
Wow.
the pilot. I watched like the first 3
boy.
episodes.
So good.
I think I'm gonna, actually, with HBO Go, I'm going to go back and watch.
You should. You'll.
Or maybe it's on Netflix.
So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's on Netflix. Well, no, I don't think any
I
of
just
the
never fell
HBO
in love
stuff
with
is on
it.
Netflix. So go
You
ahead.
will.
Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah, no,
So go ahead.
I probably. Yep. So I thought that aside from one aspect, it's a fantastic show.
The one aspect is everything.
The one aspect is Steven Van Sant. I think that was one of the.
I see why you said I have not seen Sopranos
Yeah.
now.
Yes. Though I don't think that should matter. I assume he's giving a much better performance in The Sopranos, or he's directed better. Whatever it is.
You know what it's like? It's as if somebody was like, you know what would be amazing is if Captain Kirk like went off and did this other thing on this other planet and we made a show about that, and they're like, well, we can get Shatner, and they're like, oh, let's do that. That's what this show is like. It's a what if when you actually get the real guy who was
Right.
that guy for years and years.
No, I hear you. I wish
So-
it was Tony Soprano. I wish it was the performance of James Gandolfini
Yeah.
Because the plotting, everything that happens is so great. I think this is the best television show premise of all time. And
Really?
all the way that's carried out, the way the premise is carried out is wonderful, but I find Steven Van Zandt's performance of a mafia guy to be so heavy-handed, over the top, contrived, just false. And in addition to that, I will say one other thing I didn't love is there's not as delicious as moments that you find in a Lost in Translation. Another Fish Out of Water stories. I was thinking of Lost in Translation. There's a lot of jokes that aren't funny. There's a to me there's a lot of jokes that I didn't find funny, and I should have. There's him. Steven Van, the mafia guy is mad at one of the hippie guys as in episode 3.
Yeah.
And he refers to the hippie guy. He's half a Michael Moore. It's not funny. That's the dead reaction here. Maybe you guys left in the show. Maybe it obviously plays better than me describing it. But me describing it is how it landed on me.
The biggest laugh I got in
if
that
that's-
episode was the little kid giving the other little kid a stick.
Yeah.
Well, but I think the
but
other thing is,
laughed out
I don't know if that's a joke for. I don't think that's a comedy. That's a thing that guy might have said.
I'm
trying to be funny
the most
or just
thing on the top of my
you know what I mean?
head. But overall, all the humor is
very dry.
It's
It
very,
is.
as we say, there's very little music in the show. The
Yeah.
only music is transitions from scene to scene, so it does play out very dry. Also, with the setting, I should be in love with the cinematography. I'm not.
Sure.
But
you did overall really enjoy the
I
show.
like No, I didn't really enjoy it, but everything, all the bones of it are so good, and the plotting is so good.
So you didn't like the show?
Oh, yeah, I couldn't get into.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not how I thought that started.
Yeah, it did
you said
start
I
that
loved
way.
everything except for
I was
one
describing
thing.
how I felt about it, but his performance is like that's the hinge of the show.
Well, he always was sort of the comic effect in The Sopranos, more than as Tony Soprano was like the guy, and he was sort of more the funny tongue-in-cheek guy in it. So I get being pulled into a show where you're like, wow, he just kind of feels like the tongue-in-cheek guy. He is that in The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Jeff, what did you think?
The thing I love most about this show is that it exists. I love the fact that Netflix went there and did this, but not only that, this is the first show that they've done, right?
Yeah, original
And
series,
they
yeah.
went with something that you will not see anywhere else, really.
Yeah.
I can't imagine any other network putting on what is mostly a foreign language television show. There is a bit of an odd conceit that kind of started bothering me.
I think I know what you're going to say.
That everybody speaks to him in Norwegian. He understands them, but doesn't speak Norwegian. He speaks in English. They understand him, but don't speak in English. It's this odd conceit of the
I thought
show.
that was
It's like,
smart on the showmaker's behalf, but I also did not enjoy watching it.
yeah, it comes off feeling odd. But I have to say, I love the fact that we have such a bold concept made, that we've got this really fun what if, this fun fish out of water story, and they're sticking with it being a foreign language show, and they're not shying away from all of the things that make Lilyhammer,
Right.
that it really is about this culture, and it almost is a celebration of this culture in a lot of ways. And that's what's really fun about it. I'm not enamored with it. I've only watched 3 episodes, and there are only 8, I think.
8, yeah.
I likely will watch them all, and maybe I will fall in love with it over time. But I enjoyed it. I just didn't love it.
Yeah.
And I think some of the side characters are a little bland, maybe. And I just never found a foot. I think what it really is that sometimes the show is brilliantly different than what you think it's going to be. And
Right.
other times it is exactly what you think of, like the guy from The Sopranos in snowy Sweden. Oh, well, I could give you 6 scenarios right now off the
Right.
top of my head and then it's like, when you see those, it's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
that's kind of obvious. Gives the kid a gun.
Right.
He's the guy that can kill the wolf. It's
Right,
like,
yeah.
those things are a little obvious, but it's fun to see him sort of assembling his crime family, and his little sidekick guy that he's grooming is really funny and fun.
Yeah, I think I liked it a little bit more than you guys, but I also felt like it had this what am I feeling? Am I a comedy? Am I a drama? It's sort of a dramedy. There's some serious stuff that happens, especially even in the pilot, that's like, that's serious stuff. You know what I mean? Like, that's not funny. And sometimes it's handled in a way that is funny, and so it's sort of like, well, I don't know what tone you're going for here. That said, I really enjoyed it. I think it's, like you, I think I'm just so happy that Netflix is getting into this business and getting into this business in a serious way. I mean, this is not, like Hulu or somebody like that, where they could do original series, and they are, but they're doing original web series, basically. You know what I mean? It's a little bit more substantial than that. The things that Hulu is doing are sort of bigger than your average web series, but they are not television series. This is a television show. I mean, this could be on HBO. This could be on Showtime. You would not think bat an eye.
Very bold. It's a bold
but it is
first
very bold,
series.
and I think that was done by choice. And I think they're kind of going out and saying, like, look, we're going to show you stuff that wouldn't have ended up on television for the things that you said. But I really did enjoy it, and I liked the sort of fish out of the water. I also had that same feeling where even halfway through the pilot, where I went, why can he understand them so well? Give me a little bit of that.
They kind of justify it.
Well, no, I get that.
Yeah.
I
He says, I love your culture.
I think that's cool.
I get that. But here's here's the thing. I get that, but there are some very complex things that are said, and he goes, "What? Yeah, of course." And it's like, I get knowing enough to get by, but some of the things that are said are like these complex concepts of inner working personal relationships, and he's like, "Yeah, right." And I'm like, give me a little bit. And here's the thing, give me a little bit.
I mean, my impression is that this is a Norwegian show. We are privileged to be seeing. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't think that's the case.
Like, it's lucky that there is someone even speaking English in this. That we're only seeing half this. And I feel they're probably seeing it with no subtibles
or
and
English
just him is. And just he is subtitled.
Right, and here's the thing.
That's why I thought it was kind of genius for them.
And I'm not saying it didn't work for me. I'm just saying it was too much for me. Give me one or two of the scenes where he goes, I don't understand what you're saying. Because there's fun to be had in the not understanding the complex relationships in Norwegian or whatever. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Just a little bit of fun. I mean, I get that he understands English or Norwegian. But anyway, I think this is a bold first step. I'm excited to see this House of Cards thing.
Did you guys not have the issue with his performance that I did? Or?
No. But we knew him. I knew what I was going to get.
It's the guy.
Yeah,
that's what I got.
But like I said,
it's like saying I have a problem with Shatner. It's like, yeah, but he's Shatner.
You know what you're going to get.
Yeah, but okay, maybe.
Let me just put it this way. Let me put it this way.
Because
I got over his performance 7 years ago when I was watching The Sopranos.
Is it that way?
Yes,
100%. It feels like, because to me, when I did watch The Sopranos, those guys felt like they are those guys that were cast in the show having to do, except for James Gandolfini maybe, but like those guys are like, they have the look. This guy feels like he has to put on the face, and he looks like he's a Saturday Night Live impersonation of,
well, that's kind of how he was getting.
I think you would find that that's how he is.
Yeah, and also
I actually watched some interviews with him. I'm like, is that really how he is? And he's not that way.
Well, but he gets older in The Sopranos. But he gets older in The Sopranos, and later in The Sopranos, that's him. So I already made my bed with that. So that didn't have a problem at all.
It's false.
Yeah. Anyway, check it out, Lilyhammer. All 8 episodes available now on Netflix streaming, and I don't know if this in DVDs. I don't think so. I think it's streaming only. But hey, woo. All right, everybody, be sure to stick around. We're going to be answering one of your Twitter questions right after this. But first, we want to thank our sponsor, Jeff Cannata.
You know I love the Audible. Here's the thing.
Yes.
If you are only watching movies and TV shows, you're missing out on some of the greatest storytelling in the world in books. Read for pleasure. I recommend it. I think it's amazing, and Audible.com is a great way to experience some of the greatest books in the world. They have over 100,000 titles to choose from across every conceivable genre. You can read fiction, you can even read nonfiction. There's tons of stuff to choose from. They have really cool genre stuff. Throw them onto your iPod or MP3 player, and you can get started really easy. In fact, Alex, you just checked out the Hunger Games book one.
I did, yeah. I was very excited. I'm going to start listening to
book 2?
Book 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Very excited.
And
through my free audiobook, which
can
you
hook you
shall
up with
find
that.
out about
you can
right
check
now.
that out by going to audiblepodcast.com/totallyrad. We'll hook you up with a free audiobook just for
And
hanging out with us.
audiobooks are expensive.
They are.
Very expensive. Downloading audiobooks is expensive.
That's why Audible's such a
it's
great service, because you get a subscription and then you just churn through them. It's so awesome. So yeah, check out Hunger Games. Check out the 100,000 titles that they've got there, and we'll give you a free one just by going to audiblepodcast.com/totallyrad.
Amazing. All right, people, we will see you
Tomorrow.
Hey, English.
Join us tomorrow for our review of Jim Henson's graphic novel, Tale of Sand.
Today's Twitter question comes to us from Christopher J. French at CJ French. The question is, aliens are coming!
Wait, what? That's a statement. Shit.
Can you guys choose
Exclamation.
one movie and one video game to represent what gaming and movies are?
Mañana.
Mañana is
He
how he
added
closes
in
that
there.
tweet.
It's a good way to close it.
Here's the tough thing from a video game standpoint.
Yes.
I wouldn't want. I was thinking, Half-Life 2, perfect example of
When they're like,
you don't want to
"They
have
hate us!"
Can't use Halo. You can't have any game where you're shooting aliens.
Yeah.
It's like, we like you guys. It's cool. You really wouldn't want to have violence be involved for the
Yeah.
aliens, because we want them to stay peaceful. So maybe The Sims might be a good choice, or Portal.
No,
or
Sims, they would be like, oh, we can easily control them.
Yeah.
It's
That's a good
point,
mindless.
too.
I was
I
saying
was thinking-
Civilization. Civilization's
I was
the-
thinking Tetris.
Civilization is
Where you
genius.
where you see Tetris shows you, although even Civilization, there's war.
Well, but they see all
Yeah,
facets.
but that-
You don't have to win through war, you can win through intelligence.
Yeah, but you can win through war.
They
So
see
you
the
could-
war. Well,
they're
see
playing
They
it.
see that we, if they can't,
I don't
we're
want
not
them to see that.
harmless.
I don't want them to
Then we
see
can- we can
harmless
defend
square
ourselves.
blocks that show you heart, intelligence, kindness to blocks.
Cut to the aliens like dropping something heavy on Alex. Oh, why did
Yeah.
I pick this?
See,
I went the other way. I thought Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, just that's quintessential. That is video game, and well, it's not like there's at least there are some graphics. There's
And there is a
humanity
little
in
bit of
it.
story.
That would
Right.
confuse them. Wouldn't they be like, why do they hate their turtles so much?
Yeah.
That's true.
Most of their plants
I see
don't
what
eat
you're
them,
saying.
right?
Movie-wise, I was gonna say Magnolia because it
I
shows-
knew you were going to say Magnolia.
Well, that's the statement I say about anyway. It shows the best technically about what movie's capable of as a visual art form, and content-wise, it says the best stuff.
Yeah, we'll let that
as
we'll
it
let
was
that
introspective
stand.
about us. It represents people.
Have you still never seen Magnolia, right? Alex?
No. It's about frogs.
You're an alien.